Ever pondered the implications if China conquered the Philippines? It's a thought-provoking question, isn't it? It's a scenario that's been discussed in hushed tones and behind closed doors. Why would we even consider such a scenario? Well, it's no secret that China has been expanding its influence across the globe, and the Philippines, with its strategic location in Southeast Asia, could be a potential target. The hypothetical conquest of the Philippines by China is not a mere figment of imagination but a plausible situation worth discussing. We're not here to incite fear or breed animosity. Our aim is to explore the potential repercussions of such an eventuality. We'll delve into the political, economic, and social spheres to better understand what could happen under this hypothetical rule. This isn't about pointing fingers, it's about understanding the complex dynamics of global politics and power plays. Let's dive deep into the political, economic, and social implications of this scenario. Firstly, the political landscape would undergo significant changes. If China were to conquer the Philippines, the political alliances that have been carefully cultivated over many years could be thrown into turmoil. The Philippines, currently a staunch ally of the United States, would likely see a shift in its political allegiances. This could result in a realignment of alliances in the Southeast Asian region, with countries either siding with China or the US. The balance of power in the region could be significantly altered as a result. The Philippines' constitution and governance could also be subject to significant changes. As a democratic republic, the Philippines' political structure is vastly different from China's single-party socialist republic. The imposition of China's political model could mean a radical shift from democratic norms and principles. This would not only drastically alter the political fabric of the Philippines but also set a precedent for the region. The impact on regional politics could be monumental. A stronger Chinese influence in the Southeast Asian region, through the acquisition of the Philippines, could potentially tip the scales in favor of China in regional disputes. The South China Sea dispute, for instance, could be affected. With the Philippines under Chinese control, China's claims in the disputed region could be strengthened, leading to increased tensions in the region. Moreover, the Association of Southeast Asian Nations, ASEAN, of which the Philippines is a key member, could be deeply affected. The ASEAN aims to promote peace and stability in the region, and a change in the political status of one of its members could disrupt this delicate balance. This could lead to a re-evaluation of the roles and responsibilities of the member countries, and potentially a restructuring of the ASEAN itself. In conclusion, the political implications of China conquering the Philippines would be far-reaching. The shifts in political alliances, changes in the Philippines' constitution and governance, and the impact on regional politics could cause a ripple effect that extends beyond the borders of the Philippines and China. These political changes could potentially reshape the Southeast Asian region. Secondly, the economic implications could be huge. Let's delve into this a bit further. Imagine for a moment that the trade policies between China and the Philippines shift dramatically. With China at the helm, it's likely we'd see a stronger push for economic integration. This could mean a significant increase in Chinese goods and services flooding the Philippine market. But what about the Philippines' major industries? Agriculture, for instance, is a significant contributor to the country's economy. If China decides to import more of its food from the Philippines, we could see a boost in agricultural growth. On the other hand, if China decides to import less, this could lead to a substantial blow to the industry. Then there's the question of employment. With China's influence, there could be an influx of Chinese businesses setting up shop in the Philippines. This could potentially create more jobs for Filipinos. However, it could also lead to a rise in competition, possibly pushing out local businesses. Furthermore, consider the impact on the Philippines' burgeoning business process outsourcing industry. If China decides to leverage this industry, it could lead to a significant increase in revenue. Conversely, if China decides to pull out, it could have a devastating effect. Now, let's talk about potential economic strategies China might implement. They could choose to invest heavily in infrastructure, boosting the Philippines' economic growth. Alternatively, China might decide to focus more on extracting resources, which could lead to environmental implications, a topic we'll touch on later. The economic implications are complex and far-reaching. They would touch every corner of the country, from the bustling cities to the rural farmlands. The ripple effects would be felt in the pockets of every Filipino, from the wealthiest tycoon to the humblest farmer. The economic fallout could either be a boom or a bust, depending on how it's managed. It's a delicate balance, and one that would require careful planning and foresight. But one thing's for sure, the economic landscape of the Philippines would be forever changed. Lastly, the social implications could be far-reaching. Diving into the heart of society, the cultural dynamics of the Philippines could experience a significant shift. Presently, the Philippines is a melting pot of various cultures, primarily influenced by Malay, Spanish and American heritages. If China were to conquer the Philippines, the vibrant tapestry of Filipino culture might undergo a transformation, with Chinese culture potentially becoming a dominant influence. Imagine the Filipino language, currently an amalgamation of Tagalog, English and Spanish, being infused with Chinese dialects. The influence might extend to the arts, from traditional dances and music to visual arts and literature, creating a fusion that reflects this new socio-political reality. However, the societal norms and freedoms that Filipinos currently enjoy could also be altered. The Philippines, despite its struggles, prides itself on being a democratic nation with freedom of speech and expression at its core. The shift in power could lead to stricter regulations and limitations on these freedoms, mirroring China's more controlled societal structure. Moreover, the potential changes might not be limited to the public sphere. Private life could also be affected. Take, for instance, the Filipinos' renowned sense of community, or bayanihan. Would this spirit of communal unity and cooperation endure or adapt under a different societal framework? The impact on the Philippines' rich cultural heritage could be profound. Filipino festivals full of color and life might start reflecting Chinese traditions. The cuisine, a delightful blend of East and West, could also see the incorporation of more Chinese flavors. Even the iconic jeepney, a symbol of Filipino ingenuity, could evolve to reflect this new cultural landscape. Yet, it's important to remember that cultures are not static. They evolve, adapt, and transform. While the influence of Chinese culture could be significant, the resilience and adaptability of the Filipino people might shape this influence, creating a unique cultural synthesis. The societal changes could redefine the Filipino identity. But as history has shown us, the essence of what it means to be a Filipino, their warmth, resilience, and indomitable spirit, could very well continue to shine through, regardless of the circumstances. But what would be the international response to such a scenario? In the event of such a dramatic shift in Southeast Asia's power dynamics, the world would undoubtedly sit up and take notice. A key player would be the United Nations, a global body committed to maintaining international peace and security. Given its mandate, the UN would likely condemn any unprovoked aggressive actions, potentially invoking sanctions or other punitive measures. But it's worth noting that the effectiveness of these measures would largely depend on the international community's unity and willingness to enforce them. Now let's turn to ASEAN, the Association of Southeast Asian Nations. As a regional group that includes the Philippines, ASEAN would be directly impacted by such a scenario. Historically, ASEAN has championed the principles of sovereignty and non-interference in the internal affairs of other states, so a violation of these principles could provoke a strong response, potentially leading to diplomatic isolation or even expulsion from the group. And what about individual countries? The United States, for instance, has long-standing ties with the Philippines, a former colony, and a mutual defense treaty in place. So any threat to the Philippines could potentially draw a military response from the US. Japan, another significant player in the region, might also react strongly. Given its historical tensions with China and a vested interest in maintaining the current balance of power, Japan could potentially take diplomatic or economic actions to deter aggression. In the broader picture, such a scenario could result in significant geopolitical shifts. Countries and alliances around the world might need to reassess their strategies, alliances, and priorities. The global politics chessboard could be shuffled, with new alliances forming, old ones breaking, and power dynamics shifting in unpredictable ways. In the end, the international response to such a scenario would be a complex mix of diplomacy, economic pressures, and potentially military interventions. The ripple effects would be felt far beyond the shores of the Philippines and China. The international response could shape the future of global politics. So, what could we learn from this hypothetical scenario? We've examined the potential political, economic, and social implications of a theoretical Chinese conquest of the Philippines. We've explored the shifts in power dynamics, the possible economic transformations, and the social changes that could ensue. We've also delved into the likely international response considering the global community's stance on territorial conquests. However, it's important to remember that this is merely a thought experiment, a hypothetical scenario that doesn't reflect any current intentions or plans. It's a lens through which we can understand the complexities of international relations and the ripple effects of such significant shifts in power. These hypothetical scenarios can help us appreciate the intricate tapestry of geopolitics and the importance of maintaining harmony in our global community. While it's a fascinating thought experiment, let's hope for a world where nations coexist peacefully.